Welcome, my sisters, to Call for Wisdom. The question I have today for you and from whoever else is watching is monogamy only a hill worth dying on? Think about it. When there's other biblical options available that are going to present themselves to you very, very soon, and I'm speaking to my sisters, are you willing to die on the monogamy only hill? Because these days, it's not like it was before. It has always been an option. It's always been a hill. But it has been so well trodden on through the decades, so well abused, that that hill now is full of sand. It's a sandy hill. In 2025, where you and I are living, it's not like before. And really, the fact is, it's always been a sandy hill, and not all men are monogamous. Actually, the majority of the shepherds are not. But shepherds being husbands and you being like a sheep, sometimes we get stubborn, and we've been taught to praise monogamy from a very, 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 very young age. I mean, since you're playing with dolls, you have Barbie and you have Ken. And Barbie didn't come with friends. She came with a baby. She didn't come with friends. And if she did come with friends, Barbie's friends didn't have wedding dresses. No. And there was only enough room in the van for Barbie and Ken and the baby. I didn't remember seeing like other quarters, and there was no such thing as a master's quarter. And then you turn on the TV. And on the TV on Saturday in the 70s when I grew up, there was movies and there was cartoons, Flintstones. I like Flintstones. Flintstones was like patriarchal. He was funny. I like him. But again, his wife was his only wife, right? And they had their little dramas, but it was only one wife and one family. And everywhere we go, beavers and think of all the movies and all the things you grew up. Did you ever see a polygynous family involved in any of those scenarios growing up as a little girl? And then you see weddings. You see your own parents. They're monogamous. You grew up in the West. They only have one dad and a mom. And if you grew up in a good family like me, that was good. I mean, dad was awesome. My father was great. He was a good man. He died young, but he was a good man. And the fact is, how many examples of anything other than monogamy did you have, right? You fairy tales of white dresses and expensive weddings and you being the queen and you having the crown and the veil. And if you kept yourself like I did to marriage, it was like really, really special to have that first encounter with your husband, and it was a wonderful thing. It is still monogamy. My problem is not with the concept of having a husband. The hill is not about monogamy. It's the monogamy only hill. Are you willing to die on that hill? The one that gives the shepherd the only opportunity is to pick one sheep out of that hill, and he's not allowed to come down with any more than one, right? And so that is what we're going to talk about today. Is that particular hill worth you dying on? Now, if you followed my last episode, I said, girl, you're too old for monogamy. Follow it. I'll leave a link again. Girl, are you too old? And I got a lot of backlash. I'm getting used to the hate mail. Hate mail is okay. Backlash is cool, especially from the sisters. You guys just, spread it out, let it out. I'm a therapist. Let it out. I can handle it. It's all right. Tell me how angry you are and how frustrated you are that other women are supportive of the biblical right of men to take on more than one woman, more than one sheep. biblically sound, never condemned in the Bible, promoted actually by Yah, because he called himself a polygynous husband of two women that he took as in their youth. There were two sisters, matter of fact. He claimed them as his when they were still in Egypt, when they were still virgins, before anybody touched them. And then before that, by the time they left Egypt, they were already banged up and used and adulterous. But still, he loved them. And the whole story of our salvation is a polygynous story. The whole story from the beginning of the book all the way to the end of our salvation is a polygynous story. And those of you who are having a hard time grasping that, just remember, are you willing to die on the monogamy only false doctrine? That hill is made out of sand. That hill ain't going nowhere. There's no path to the kingdom, because it's going towards the kingdom, going towards the New Jerusalem. When you get there and you are a monogamy only kind of person, you're going to be confronted with 12 options. These 12 options are 12 gates. And on the 12 gates are the 12 names of the 12 tribes who were birthed by 4 baby mamas and 1 husband, Jacob, Israel, who we are. And you know what? There's not one single gate that says monogamy only. So if you want in, you gotta bow down through the gate and surrender to what Yah predestined. He planned his kingdom before he even made the earth. Before the foundation of the earth, he had this great grand salvation plan. He had ready wrote it in his beautiful story of his son coming to die and being birthed through the genealogy of polygynous men. And polygynous meaning, again, one husband with many wives. It doesn't go anywhere else, okay? So if you guys don't understand that, please Google the word polygamy. Biblical polygamy is always one husband with many wives. And so Abraham had many wives. Jacob had many wives, and Abraham is the father of our faith, and Sarah is my mother. If you believe in the faith and you follow the example of Abraham, you follow his culture too. He's a righteous man. And David, who wrote the books of Psalm, and we're going to read that, he had several wives. And the only time he got corrected for anything dealing with the woman is the one that he took from somebody else. Because the definition of adultery in the Bible depends on your status, my sisters. If you're married, then yes, another man other than your husband who sleeps with you, takes you, is committing adultery. And that's what David did when he took Bathsheba. But it's not against the word of God anywhere for a man if he takes a single woman. He's allowed to take somebody that is on the market and free, even if he has one already, And the Bible uses the analogy of shepherds a lot, because we are farmers as Israelites. We are always farming, and the analogies in the Bible, a lot of them are around farming and attending the land. And Yeshua calls himself the great shepherd. I'm going to read that in Psalms. And David, says he follows the shepherd. And in the same analogy, it can be used that the man is the shepherd. But a man can have 1 sheep. Yeah, a poor man can have 1 sheep. And then when David got rebuked by the prophet Nathaniel, that's the analogy he used in 2 Samuel's. He used that same analogy of having only 1 sheep as a shepherd, being a monogamous situation. So Uriah is the only confirmed monogamous in the Bible. Did you know that? The rest of the men you see listed in the Bible, just because you didn't hear about the wives, doesn't mean they didn't have more. It's just, you're just arguing out of absence. You're making up a story because you didn't see it. You're going to assume it because you were raised to be monogamous, right? But you don't know, because it wasn't part of the storyline to mention how many wives they had. That wasn't part of the details needed. And so if we don't know for sure. We cannot confirm that they were monogamous. But the only one we do know for sure is Uriah, Bathsheba's husband. And when David took Uriah's one little sheep, Bathsheba, he stole from a man. He stole from the poor man, he says. So he was comparing the fact that the man had one wife as him being poor. And you know what? I don't mean to shame the men who have one wife, because some men, that is what Yah had called them to do. That is what they have the talent for. That's the provision that they had. And a lot of times, men are also called to be multiplied with what Yah provided for them. And a woman is valuable. A woman is very, very valuable. Listed in the 10 Commandments, along with the sheep, the goats, the slaves, is the woman. His wives and his daughters are valuable assets, and he has to multiply with what Yah gave him. But some men, Yah gave them the capacity, the wealth, the strength, the wisdom, the ability, the physical stamina, the testosterone, the desire for variety. All those great talents with the ability to be polygynous. And when they come knocking on your door, asking to multiply by having more than one wife, more than one sheep, like David already had several before he took Bathsheba. When they come knocking at your door and you are single, then that's not a sin. You are welcome to join in. And you know what? Abigail did that. Abigail was single and she joined David's. He took his proposal, and David had already several wives, and she came. How about Queen Esther? The king had a harem, but because of her willingness to accept polygyny, and she was a beautiful woman, my sisters, because she won the competition as a virgin, as the most beautiful woman in Israel, decided to become a queen through polygyny. And don't tell me you wouldn't go for it too. Don't tell me you are so blinded that if a handsome rich king came along right now, like King David, you would say, I'm going to die on the monogamy only hill. I just want a man all for myself. And, you went up that hill when you were young. But you went to university up that hill. And you know what about that hill? That hill is like a sandy hill, because all these women are trying to climb to the top, because on top of the monogamy only hill is a sign saying high value woman. So we bought into that lie. So we're thinking, okay, if I can only get to the top of the hill, more of these shepherds who are walking by will take note of me. So I will climb myself up to that hill through the sand with my little paws. I will climb myself up to that hill through my education, through my getting into debt, through my Botox and my BBLs, killing myself in the gym. I'm going to make myself look hot. I'm going to make myself look sexy. I'm going to get my education. I'm going to get the bag, girl. And I'm going to do that no matter what it takes, because I want to be a high value man so I can get the best monogamy only shepherd who will come up that hill looking for me. And at the bottom of that pretend monogamy only hill, in my analogy parable, is a sign saying for sale, sheep for sale, shepherds buy sheep. And in order to climb the hill, the man has to agree to pay $100K a year in salary. And at first, men were going for it, Actually, the price for the sheep were a lot cheaper in my dad's days. A man could afford that. I could get a sheep for a sheep being women. If you're going to get offended, go ahead and start now. It's a good time. But the Bible already says it in Samuel's. It refers to us women as sheep. We are sheep, okay? In this analogy, the sheep in the 70s, in the 50s, were cleaner, were not used, were submissive, could cook and clean, were willing to have babies, were young, like under 20. And they were eager to follow the man who came for them. A simple shepherd. He didn't have to do much. He had a job. He could work at the car factory. He could be a miner. He could have been a carpenter. He could have been a pastor, like my father, and a carpenter, like my father, and a farmer, like my father was. It didn't take much. As long as you had a willingness to work, you couldn't be lazy. And then women were willing to work with you. So the cost of getting a untouched, really beautiful feminine woman back in the day on the monogamy only hill was worth it for the men. And they thought, it's screw that. I still have to deny the fact that I can't get any more sheep. I mean, what is a shepherd without more sheep? But all the women seem to be on this hill. Like, there's nobody in the West anywhere else in the field. They're all cramming themselves up this monogamy only hill. So, okay, I will go up there and I will check out somebody. And my father checked out, Humble, my mother, and Humble, she took her down. And other farmers came up and they took one, because they were only allowed one, and they would take the purest one that they could get, virgins mostly. And if they weren't, not a high body count, not much bruises, still kind of decent, no limping sheeps around, they're still strong enough to bear some children and young enough to do so. And so they would take them and build a home with them when they got them going. Yeah. And so there were not that many women left past the age of 25 still on the monogamy only hill when I was growing up in my 20s. No, they got taken early. Here we are 25 years later. Things have changed. The monogamy only hill has gone through a whole lot of soily, sandy stuff. It has been raining on that hill, and the women, like sheep that have been tending themselves on that hill, have grown more aggressive, trying to climb up to the high value woman status, sheep status. And in their attempts to get up to the top of the thing, they've been bruising themselves. They've been competing with themselves. A matter of fact, they hate the other sheep. The women don't like women anymore. They are in competition. They take Instagram posts and they put it on Instagram and they're showing all their body because now it's promiscuity, and they are flaunting it all, and they're trying to fight each other up that hill. And every man that shows any kind of interest in monogamy, any shepherd that dares to go up there, willing to pay the $100K now it is per year salary, they are competing for him because he's a rare thing, willing to pay all that. And you know what? I got to put this point in here. The man ain't interested in the high value women. They actually want humble women, so they'll go for the women that are lower, that just came in on that hill, still a little bit less than 20, 25, fertile. I mean, if I'm going to pay all that money, you might as well bear me some kids. You better as well still be able to cook, clean, and serve in some capacity towards the mission of the poor guy, the poor shepherd who's only allowed one. I mean, he's like, if I'm going to have to take some sheep off this hill, it better darn be something. And so they pick the ones below. But even then, the sisters are fighting. They don't love each other. Sisterhood is gone. Loving of each other as a flock of sheep, that's like old fashioned. Sharing? Sheep are supposed to share the wool, my sister. Share. That is part of who we are in the analogy. We're supposed to be willing to share, and it grows back. The more you give, the more you give, the more you give, the more it grows. We don't have to be worried about that. God made sheep able to reproduce and multiply, but we're supposed to share. But nowadays, the selfish sheep, they're so eager. And they're so desperate because less and less and less shepherds are willing to climb the monogamy only hill. And you know what? Another reason why the men don't want to climb the hill is because the sheep, at nighttime, something happens. Yeah. At nighttime, something really, really bad happens. The men who are not shepherds, the ones that have no intention of getting married whatsoever, they're handsome. Some of them are, decent. Some of them don't even have a job. They're pokey and ray-ray. That's what they are. But some of them are looking like pimps. Some of them look kind of, slick. They come with sweet talk, man. They are sucking up some sweet talk to these sheep saying, boy, girl, you are so soft and tender. Your hair is the best. And they come up and they play with a whole lot of sheep in one night. They pet. They kind of, tend to you, make you feel that you have a potential to be taken down. Mind you, they're not shepherds. They're not even dressed in shepherd's uniforms. They have no clue how to be a shepherd, but they are petting and they are having some pleasure, and they are rolling around the hill with the sheep on the monogamy only hill. And then at nighttime, when they had enough, around 1 o'clock in the morning, they take off. They kiss you, they're gone. Booty calls, hookup culture, dating culture. There's no commitment. There's no commitment. Some of these sheep on the hill get pregnant by the Pookie and Ray Ray, visitors to the petting zoo that the monogamy only hill is becoming. A petting zoo. There's no shepherds there. There's no barriers there. There's no protection there. But there is an owner of the hill. Somebody does own that hill, actually. The land is owned by the state. And that's another reason these men don't want to commit to this, because in order to take a sheep off the monogamy only hill, these shepherds have to sign a license with the state, the government that owns the land. Yeah. They need a state license to remove the sheep. And they never have full control of the sheep, because with that, it's like the sheep will always belong to the state, because if the sheep wants to protest at any moment, the state intervenes. If the sheep wants to divorce for any reason, no fault, the state intervenes. You can take your children and go right back up the monogamy hill at any time, because the state got your back. Once you sign yourself up to that hill, man, the state owns it. And it barely maintains the women up there. It kind of gives it a little bit of water and social security, promises retirement plans for the poor sheep that don't get chosen, gives them some pension. It doesn't give them much protection. You could call 911 and maybe a hired helper would come along once in a while to rescue you, but good luck with that, because late at night, my sisters, on the monogamy only hill, around 3-4 o'clock at night, a pack of black wolves show up. And they are dressed in pastor suits with Bibles in their hands. And their false doctrines come along and say, polygyny is a sin, and you gotta wait for one man, and just pray, my sister, and God will send you the one and only. I know, my sisters, I know, if you just put a couple $100 in the tithe every month and be faithful, God will provide you a husband. Don't worry, there's a shepherd. I have a prophecy. Yes, there's a shepherd on the way. Just keep on paying the tithes. Yeah. And by the way, if you want some private counseling, the wolves are well willing to eat you up and give you that too. The wolves are tearing and eating and bruising the ignorant sheep. They just devour. They take the wolf for free. They take your income for free. And they are not shepherds. They're not shepherds. They are not shepherds at all. They don't take you and marry you. No, man. These wolves will devour you. They will not marry you. And dare they find out you were pregnant for Pookie and Ray Ray? They probably will join the line with Pookie and Ray Ray and say, hey, you got something going on there? Yeah, you can hit up these sheep too. Yeah, I'll hit them up at nighttime too. And at night, girl, a lot of things happen. There's no light there. And that makes it worse, my sisters, is that there is a storm coming. And it always comes. It comes through seasons in life. And as we go and we get older, the storms come. And because the hill is made out of sand, it cannot withstand the pressure of so many women. And the rain. And the rain is coming down heavy. And the thunder is storming. The rain being the economic disaster that's coming by. And those at the top who thought they were high value, they're the first to be hit, because now AI is coming for those ones' jobs. All that they spent in student loan to get these positions as bankers and head of HR and counselors And anything to do that AI can take, a computer can do, if you were doing that kind of job in the high value status of a woman you thought you were at, well, move aside because AI is coming forward. And there's less and less jobs and you're going to be hungry and you can't feed yourself. And no, I tell you, no. Very few men are climbing up that hill for none of you. Any of you. They're not coming up. They're not going to pay the state. No license for you all. And you all are getting beaten by the wolves and you believe the wolves and you're getting stroked and pets and body counts from the Pookie and Ray Ray men out there, and used old sheep cannot demand the same. They can't demand the same value as my grandparents did. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Those of you who got offended by my last episode about you too old for monogamy, that's what I'm saying. Grow up. Humble yourself, you entitled women. Humble yourself. We are just sheep. We are just women and we need shepherds. We cannot be our own shepherds. We can't protect ourselves from the wolves and from the men coming. We cannot be our own security guards. You can't even fix a toilet on your own. You call the plumber. You call for the policeman, the fireman. You depend on your boss to pay you a salary. You don't even have kids with him. He can't do anything for you. You're going to retire and get old on this monogamy only hill. Bruised up, banged up, 3 little lambs on your feet. No shepherd. No shepherd at all. And the ones that were shepherds before, who were willing to do that, not willing to pay that price no more. They want you all to come down. Humble yourself and come down to meet them because the shepherd's not coming up the hills. They're walking on a solid path. A nice solid path to their homes that they're building, and they're willing to go there alone. If you're going to play some kind of stalemate with them, you'll lose out. The shepherds are willing to go there alone. They'll hang out, they'll play their video games, they will, watch their porn, whatever they're doing. The unrighteous ones will do that. The righteous ones, y'all will make a way. They're willing to go on their own. It's not like even the monogamy men, even the shepherds that in my father's day were willing, have changed their minds. They're like, even if I could only afford one wife, one sheep with the economy, I don't even want these women anymore because they're too arrogant. They're too bruised up. They have too many high expectations. They don't even see the state of their own condition on that hill. They're too dependent on the state. And I don't want the state to come with me because I'll never own them. I'll never be their shepherd. They'll always have the state backing them up, demanding child support and alimony and a divorce anytime they want. Half of their assets and their homes. And I'm like, no, ain't worth it. Even if it's for one, it ain't worth it. And so they're on strike. They're like, yeah, we'll be fine. We're men. The wolves, we can handle the wolves. A couple shotguns and we'll partner up and we'll take care of the wolves. No, no problem. And those of you who let men go pet them at nighttime, they might come and join the unrighteous ones. Unrighteous ones will go up there and pop over, 11 to 1 o'clock and stroke and pet, visit the petting zoo. But they won't marry you all anymore. So I'm asking you, my sisters, are you willing to die on the monogamy only hill? Or are you ready to start studying biblical polygyny? And knowing that that is a biblical option, that is righteous, that is provided for you. I say this because the tides are shifting. We're not in my mother's day anymore. Wake up, my sisters. You're not there no more. You'll never go back there. But there has always been the option of men having more than one wife. But when I say that, is that even if a man decides to take one, he wants to have the option to take more later on in his life. If he feels like it 20, 30 years later, if he feels like having another sheep and he develops and grows as a shepherd and it is his option, it's always been his option. He is a shepherd. Shepherds like to expand and God commanded them to multiply. Multiplication, not addition. And so when the shepherd takes one, even if he takes one, he doesn't want any contract with the state saying monogamy only. And he wants these sheep to come humbly down and say, I will follow you. Submit to you, my shepherd, my man. I love you, and I'm a sheep. I'll be tender and I'll be true. And you know what? I'm all cool with more because I know how to share. I love my sisters and I want them to be rescued too by a good shepherd. So here along comes a good shepherd one day, and he will come really soon. And he's going to have a sign on his head and a sign on his chest saying, I am polygynous. We're making those t-shirts really soon, guys. Look out. I am polygynous. And he's going to say that boldly because he's going to stand on the word of God, having the armor ready for all of you combating him against it. All the wolves preaching your nonsense. They will have the word of God all armed up, and they're going to say, you guys coming? You coming or not? I want at least two. At least two of you all. Come down the hill, humble yourself, follow me. I'm heading home. Let's build together. And the question is, are you willing? Are you ready? Are you humble? Or are you going to stay there and die like the rest of them? Let me read for you before we go. Call for wisdom, like, subscribe. I'm a new channel. I know, very close to 1,000 subscribers. So hit share. If you dare, tell somebody else. And if you don't like me, I don't care. Keep on writing in the chats. It stimulates the algorithm. So all of those who love and hate, feel free to spill what's on your mind, because the word of God still stands. That's the thing. When you're standing on the solid rock, it isn't sand. It's built on a rock. It can handle the storms. So let's read some of what David had to say. David, the polygynous man, my sisters who are on the Monogamy Only hill. Let me talk to you about who wrote the book that you keep on quoting. A polygynous man, and he wrote it. And he loved and feared the Most High, and he was Yah's friend. And I like to be Yah's friend. So anyways, we're going to read Psalm 22. I'm going to read from verse 22, and then I'm going to read all of Psalms 23. This is the Bible, Torah. You can pull it up on your app. Psalms 22, verse 22, starting from verse 22. Okay. David says, I will tell of your name to my brethren, and in the midst of the assembly, I will praise you. That's what I'm doing, right, sisters? In the midst of the assembly, praising the Most High. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All of your descendants of Jacob. I'm a descendant of Jacob. Glorify him and stand in awe of him, all you descendants of Israel. Jacob, with the 12 tribes, 4 baby mamas. That Jacob, yeah, man. We are descendants. We are family. Me, Sarah, Leah, all of us are family, my sisters. We're standing on a solid ground on our polygynous also option side. Okay, verse 24. For he has not despised nor abhorred the afflictions of the afflicted, nor has he hidden his face from him. But when he cries to him for help, he heard. From you comes my praise. I'm just gonna shut down something right quick here because it's getting a little bit distracted. It was cool before. Let's continue reading. All right. Verse 25. From you come my praise. In the great assembly, I will pay my vows before those who fear him. The afflicted will eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him will praise the Lord. Are you seeking him, my sisters? Let your heart live forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. And all the families of the nations will worship before you. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he rules over the nations. All the prosperous of the earth will eat and worship, and all those who go down to the dust will bow before him. Even he who cannot keep his soul alive. Prosperity will serve him. It will be told to the Lord, to the coming generations. They will come and will declare his righteousness to a people who will be born, that he has performed it. I'm going to read to you all also. And this is a psalm that, of the future, and Yah is going to come back for people like us who are praising and are following the path of Israel and Jacob. Now, I commend you all, if you read my community posts and you like them, please also leave a comment. Coming up soon is going to be a collection of parables that I like to use, and Brother Michael in Digging the Word likes to use. And together we're going to come up with some wonderful articles. But let me just read today's for you if you want to go to it yourself. I wrote a story pertaining to this, and I'll just read it and then we'll end, okay? So it's called The Hill That Wasn't Worth It. So once upon a time, my sisters, in a land not too far from the present day, there stood a tall, sandy mound known across the pasture as the Monogamy Only Hill. The name alone made it sound scary, holy even. But don't be fooled by the title. Many a thing wrapped in gold is hollow on the inside. Now up on this hill lived a flock of sheep. Not the kind you see cozy bedtime books on. These were sheep with heavy eyes and thin wool and hearts full of unspoken aches. See? They had always been this way. They hadn't always been this way. They had once grazed freely in lowly valleys and joyfully dancing and mewing and in the dawn and dreaming of being led up by day by righteous shepherds, a man who would guide and feed and protect them. But the hill called to them. Come up hither, it cried. Don't settle for less, it boasted. You deserve a shepherd all to yourself. No sharing, no compromise, monogamy only. It sounded noble, enough so one by one the sheep climbed up. At first, the view seemed worth it, but they quickly learned the hill was made of sand, not soil, not solid at all. There was no grass, no streams, only drought, student loans, pride. They learned to fake fulfillment. They loved to boast to each other of being independent, saying stuff like, I don't need no shepherd. But at night, strange men would come, wanderers at the night, sooth talkers, violet hoof types. They pet the sheep, young and old, and whisper sweet grass nothing, and leave before the first light. The sheep thought this was courtship. It wasn't. It was consumption, because these men were not shepherds. They were being grazed on, not chosen. But time is no respecter of wool, and wool, once worn too many times, loses its luster. Eventually, even the good shepherds stopped climbing the monogamy only hill altogether. Why pay a premium for patched up fleece, black talk and back talk, stubborn sheep? Now, among the flock, there were 3 particular sheep. Their names were Truth, Tender, and Turnaround. Truth had always felt something wasn't right. She tried to pretend like the others, but her eyes were too wide and her heart was too honest. She questioned the hill's logic, and the other sheep called her bitter. And Tender had once been popular. She'd been petted and most, and she was pretty, and she knew the game, played it well. Still, she felt empty. She cried at night and told no one. Turnaround had actually escaped once. A kind shepherd had tried to lead her out years ago, but the shame of her past and the laughter of the others pulled her back, and she regretted that every single day. One stormy dusk, just as the sky cracked open with another rolling judgment from above, the 3 sheep saw a man walking along the stony path below, and his robe gleamed white in the twilight, and written across in its bold and golden thread were words, I am polygynous. They froze. The other sheep hissed, don't go near him, one said. He's a heretic, another old one said. He wants more than 1 sheep. He doesn't respect you, girl. But the man didn't look like a wolf. He didn't flirt. He didn't climb the hill. He simply held onto a lamp, a glowing flame in the palm of his hand. In a vision above him, they saw a lamb like Yeshua, like a living symbol, breathing testimony of Yah's word above him and without blemish. He called out gently, I am not here to pet you. I'm here to marry. But only if you're ready to follow, to submit, to share, to be covered. I'm building a house, a real one, with food, water, peace, but I'm not walking up that hill. That ground was never solid. Truth felt her heart leap. Tender, wept. Oh, that's so sweet. Turned around, looked back at the hill one last time. And that night, they descended together. The other sheep laughed. They were desperate. They're saying, you're so desperate. You're settling. You're being controlled, girls. You're committing adultery. But from the stone path, the insult sounded far away, like nothing went through the hollow weeds. As they walked, the shepherd taught them. He spoke of Leah and Rachel and Abigail and David and Moses, of Yah's own marriage to the two sister nations, Judah and Israel. He showed them that submission wasn't slavery, it was sanctuary, and that polygyny wasn't lust, it was legacy. And as they walked, the storm raged behind them. But before them, a stone path held firm beneath their hooves. And then they saw it, a large gate carved in cedar, wrapped with vines of grapes. Above it, etched in a hollow fire, red words, nice and beautiful. The house of the shepherd. Enter all who love Yah and keep his commandments. So they passed through together, 3 sheep, 1 shepherd, once rejected, now redeemed. And inside, they're learning to graze in peace, to lay down rivalry, to make room for one another. In the warmth of their master's house, there is laughter and labor and learning, because in the end, it was never about having a man all to themselves. It was about being led by one worthy and to follow him. And that's my little story, my sisters. If you like it, tell me something. It's always a pleasure, uncalled for wisdom, to be with you all. Thank you for joining the Bible study. We will do more, and hopefully I'll see you all on Shabbat morning, back on Digging in the Word. We're going to have a great Bible study, and guys, you know what? Blessings. Keep it hidden, this whole thing in your heart, and read the Word for yourself so that you're able to stand when you're questioned about polygyny and about the Word. Okay? Blessings.